Hello, and welcome to the Three Questions podcast, where we dive deep into the world of wealth management and connect you with industry experts. I'm your host, Wayne Baxter, Senior Executive Manager at One Capital Management. If you or someone close to you is an entrepreneur looking to become more profitable, stay tuned. This episode is definitely for you. Our topic, the three questions entrepreneurs should ask about creating partnerships and new revenue streams. Thank you for taking time to check us out. And if you enjoy this episode of the Three Questions podcast, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our podcast and YouTube channels. Creating partnerships and discovering new revenue streams can often feel like navigating a labyrinth for many entrepreneurs. For one thing, their market may be saturated with potential partners, each with their own goals, cultures, operating styles, and making compatibility with these individuals and organizations a real significant hurdle. Moreover, entrepreneurs must ensure that any partnership or new revenue strategy aligns with their core business values and long-term vision, which requires deep industry insight and foresight into the market trends. And there's more. Additionally, there's a challenge of resource allocation, both time and money, to explore and develop these opportunities without diverting focus from their core business activities. A lot to handle. Today, we're going to discuss the three questions entrepreneurs should ask about creating partnerships and new revenue streams. And joining us from Miami, Florida is Mariangelica Alvarado. She is the founder of Luminary Catalyst LLC, and they specialize in dissecting these complexities to craft tailored sales strategies for her clients. My friend Mariangelica, it is great to see you once again. Thank you for making yourself available. This is very exciting having you on the podcast all the way from Miami.
Well, I'm definitely appreciative of you asking me to be part of your podcast. This is a great community that you've built, and thank you for having me. And, greetings from the 305.
Let's see. Now, that's the thing they do up in Toronto, by the way.
Do
They do
they?
the 905 up in Toronto, or the 6, because the Toronto's area code is 416. So I remember when the Raptors, the basketball team, started to make some traction there before they won the NBA championship. All the players referred to Toronto as the 6. So there you go.
Oh,
A little trivia.
well, we're going to give it to Mr. Pitbull, who did the Mr. 305, and we can't help it. Ever since then, we owned it.
Okay, you know what we should do here? Because if people can tell that we kind of know each other, we should probably start by letting the audience know how this all came together. How did we
I
get
think
to know
so.
each other? And it was kind of there was a bit of a matchmaking that went on.
It did. It did. Well, we met through Provisors. That was an incredible introduction that we had. I mean, we're both part of this incredible community of professionals that we need to have at least 10 years in our career paths. And, Provisors, I've been a member of it for a year and a half, and all of a sudden they're telling me, do you want to start a new group, be a group leader for Miami 5? And I, scared as I was, said, sure. And then all of a sudden, I get introduced to you, and the two of us just hit it off. It was like synergy and, serendipitous all in one shot. So that's how we met, and we've been
Just to
collaborating on this group.
understand, Mariangelica, you're the group leader. I'm one of your minions.
I would not say you're a minion. I would say you're one of my collaborators, one of my strongest collaborators, because you've got 10 years in Provisor community. And what better way than to start a group? Yes, and I'm the new group leader with someone that's been in the organization for a year and a half, and you, a seasoned professional as part of Provisors. We're making the magic happen. So not
That's
a minion,
right.
collaborator.
We're growing this new group in Miami, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. And what can I say? It's going to be a lot of fun. We're making progress, and again, we're in the growth. We're in what we call we're in the incubation form right now, but we're growing ever so gradually, and looking forward to many years of working with you for sure.
Well, I'll tell you this, we're handpicking, we're cherry picking the people that we want to be able to develop like those relationships with, that we can refer business back and forth to each other, and also be part of our team to be able to offer services to our clients. So we're being very intentional and selective, which is what I wanted.
Yes. And I've been an advocate of that almost to a fault. So
You
bit
keep me
my
on the straight and
I've bit
narrow.
myself in the I've bit my own hand a few times on that one, but
Well,
oh
I love
well.
it because you keep me on the straight and narrow,
Yeah,
and then
well,
I'm gonna confess something to you. I went through your podcast earlier, to get ready for this one, and I saw you had Chris King as one of your past
yes, Chris. Oh
guests.
my God.
He's the biggest
I've known him for the whole
contrarian.
time I've been improvisers. Him and I joined almost at the same time. What a character.
Well, he is a contrarian. He is a rogue one, and I'm learning from him. And then I have him being my little devil on my shoulder, you being my little angel, telling me follow the
That
rules, and
is
he's
the
like break the rules.
good Lord. That is the first time I've ever been defined as an angel on anyone's shoulder. I'll tell you, that's a first. All right.
Yeah,
Well, thanks to Chris King, I am now an angel versus his devil. Well, thanks, Chris. This is
that's
to you.
true.
Okay, you know what? We really should talk a little bit about Luminary Catalyst LLC. What led you to starting this company? You know, you kind of took a bit of a leap of faith here. So tell us a little bit about the firm that you've created and who your ideal clients are and what you do.
Thank you for asking. Yes. So Luminary Catalyst was actually an evolution. It really was. It started out just naturally, organically. It didn't even have a name. It became a way of life. It was me
It was
networking
a
and
way of
doing business development. It is. It's a way of life. It is. You're out there just changing your environment. You're out there networking and making connections. And some of these connections are just like they change the environment. And I've always done that for other companies, right? I've been a business development when I was a financial advisor. I was a wealth advisor like yourself and was in the game for almost 10 years and decided to switch careers. And I never let go of my networking habits. It became a part of me. But as technology evolved, I realized not everybody was embracing their CRM. Not everybody was automating some things that they could to free up their time. Because as you know, Wayne, the more people we meet, the more the follow-up happens. And the follow-up
100%.
is where you can, yes, the follow-up is everything in sales. It is everything in relationship building. It's everything in networking. So that's where I realized I had to establish a methodology for myself. So I kept doing it, kept doing it. People would ask me, what do you do? And I would tell them and I would teach them happily. I would give them my tips and tricks and I would never gatekeep the information. So about a year ago, the company I was with reorged, and I realized I'm ready to step off. I wasn't finding the value in that company anymore. So I'm like, okay, what do I do now? And I was like, wait a minute, nobody does business development. People do fractional HR, fractional CFO, fractional COOs.
100%.
Nobody does fractional business development. How is that? They do the sales and marketing. You could do a fractional CMO, but what about the business side? What about the sales side? And so that started the evolution, and Luminary Catalyst was born. And it's been something that I've developed that I was talking to someone today and I said, you and I can teach the same course completely different. Mine will always lean towards technology, embracing AI, embracing automation, embracing like how do you like leverage technology to stay on top of your community of professionals, staying connected with them, emailing them, automate all that. I can help you do that. And that's Luminary Catalyst.
Beautiful. So you can work with clients across the country.
Yes. So thanks to the power of Zoom, and I have to say, being able to work virtually, I can do this with anybody across the country. I actually just got a referral from Texas. Someone that I know from Provisors sent me this email saying this person just said this, this, and this to me. Here's their contact information. And now we have a call for next week, and it's actually out of Texas. So not only I can do that locally, but nationwide.
And potentially, if I had a friend or colleague or business colleague up north of the border in Canada, could you work with them as well?
Only if they send me maple syrup. Yes, I can.
Well, you may want to
I
talk to
mean,
me about the currency conversion, but as far as the actual advisory process goes, you can work with them as well. That's
absolutely,
perfect.
I definitely can.
Okay. Well, I want to say right now, one of the things I really admire about Mariangelica is that she is what I would call, not her terminology, my terminology, a results-oriented collaborator. Now, we've had several discussions over the last few months about the topic of sales versus business development. And really with that in mind, what I really want, I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but I want to ask you now, what is it about your work that you love the most?
Ah,
What would you say is what's the real passion for you in the work that you do?
I have to say it's the long-term relationships you have. They transcend any job. They transcend time. They transcend distance. And I think that when you do relationship building, you go through a lot of people you meet professionally, and then they become friends, and then it becomes a resource, and you become each other's, um, think tank, resource. People can call you up, and I love that. I've had friendships and that started out as networking relationships that have lasted 10, 15 years. So that is really the passion. When you do relationship building, your business grows exponentially. It is a game changer.
What do you think you're best at among all the things that you do and because everybody has, and like for myself, there's so many different little minutia things that make up what I do. But for you of that, what are the things that you think you're really the best at in your role?
I think you and I have something in common when it comes to this. We listen well. And when you listen well, you get to ask the right questions and you get to remember things about people that make them an individual in your eyes, not just one of the masses. So I think when you listen, and that ability transcends business, it's your personal life, it's everywhere. And you're able to ask the right questions and you get to help people the way they should be helped, the way that they want to be helped. And sometimes you get to show them something that they didn't catch themselves. So I think listening is one of my strong suits, I would say, but also critical thinking. I think critical thinking is something else that was natural to me since I was a kid, but now as an adult, it helps me synthesize data. That's the best way to put it.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you on the listing. That's for sure. I would even give you higher marks than me. I still have to work on not trying to finish other people's sentences. Um, okay, we're discussing here today. Let's get right to the meat and potatoes of the podcast. The three questions entrepreneurs should ask about creating partnerships and new
Yes.
revenue streams, because the goal of a business is to be profitable here. So new revenue streams are always welcome. So the questions we're going to be asking today are from the perspective of the entrepreneurs. So Mariangelica Alvarado,
Okay,
let's get right to it. Question number one. And
go
I
for it.
think this gets right to the core. What is the difference between sales and business development?
Easy answer. Transaction versus long-standing relationship building. That is really the difference. Salespeople tend to be very short-sighted on their resources. They get in, they get out. They don't think about being a consultant or a resource for their clients. They're just like, hey, what can I sell you? And get out. In business development, it's what can I do for you? Who do you need to meet? How do we build on this? Like, what are you looking for that I can help you with? Because at the end of the day, that kind of, I hate to say it, that giver's gain mentality, that abundance mentality makes you memorable. And in the world of business, that it seems like it's dog eat dog and everybody's out for themselves, you're that one difference that you're like, you know what? Let me help you with something. I think there's someone I can introduce you to. And that's a difference between business development and just sales. I'm not a transactional person. I need to get to know the person, like them, and trust them. I mean, it's what Provisor says, but it makes sense. It rounds it out really well. You got to know the person, like the person, trust the person, and then you refer the person in that order. You don't want to get into business with someone, or whether it's a collaboration, whether it's a referral, whether it's anything with someone that you feel like you can't trust. That's a big one.
So it's interesting you talk about that, the idea of developing relationships, because that's really what I think that's what I have, one of my areas that I really, I think I've had a lot of good fortune with, and developing relationships and being a fiduciary as opposed to someone and I say in financial services, I'm sure, given the fact that you have some experience in that industry, Uh, there's definitely a left and right there. There's a transaction part of that industry, and then there's a advisor part of that industry. And I've been happy, even when I was working in Canada with a broker dealer, that I took an advisory based perspective in how I worked with my clients. And it's far more rewarding, long-term relationships. And I truly value that. Um, just a follow-up question for you on this first question is, what have you found to be the biggest challenge in terms of getting your clients to change the way, because what we're trying to do here is create revenue streams, right? New revenue. What's the biggest challenge that you have in kind of changing their mindset and the way they approach creating new revenue streams? What's the biggest challenge, I guess, maybe from the standpoint of you trying to get through to them versus, and also for them to change their mindset?
You know what? I have come across, you have to listen to your prospects and your clients. And the biggest challenge in their mind is, wait, what do you mean I have to collaborate with someone? What do you mean I have to set up an affiliate program? What do you mean I can do that with someone that's not in my company? That is something that's very foreign to people. Developing those relationships outside of their organization that can provide them either referrals or a new product line or something like that. To them, it's like, you mean collaborate outside my business? Yes. You set up those alliances and then you can benefit both. I'm working on something like that right now with someone, and she does great marketing, which is completely different than what I do. And I do the business development. And we're like, why don't we just talk about the differences and the commonalities of the two? Because most people, most organizations, it's sales and marketing, but each one has its own identity and no one ever talks about that. So right now we're putting together a workshop that is going to explain how we work together and how we're different. So that is really out of the box thinking, and it's getting people to embrace that difference. That I always tell them, run a pilot program. Just do one and see what works. And see if you want to continue this with the next organization, or if you want to build on that success with this recent affiliate program you've developed. So I think that that's the biggest roadblock most people have. But then also comes with, but how do I find that person? How do I find that organization? How do I find that synergy with another business or another business professional? And that's when I say it's you got to meet and greet. You got to talk to them. You got to see, you got to trust your inner gut that a partnership, an affiliate program, or project will succeed, but you won't know it until you do a pilot program and you try it out. That's been the biggest obstacle.
Again, we're with Mariangelica Alvarado, and she is the founder of Luminary LLC, based out of Miami, Florida. She works with clients all over the United States and Canada. And what we're talking about today are or we're asking the three questions that entrepreneurs should ask about really, I mean, the key part is developing new revenue streams, right? And so I think we should go right to question number two here, and that
Let's
is,
go.
how do I differentiate myself from my competitors?
I love this one because sometimes you have to see where you're alike to then determine where you're different. And I say this to people because how many pizza parlors do you know? How many taco stands are out there? Everybody thinks that they have the best recipe, but you won't know how good your stuff is until you start trying other people's. Sometimes it's about doing your research first, and then you're like, this is where I'm different. And I'll give you an example, Luminary Catalyst. We concentrate on technology, harnessing the power of your CRM, leveraging the automation side of emails and sending them out the follow-ups for your network community. How do you automate staying in contact and in touch with those prospects that told you 3 months, 6 months, 8 months? You've got to cultivate that relationship. But do you really want to be in front of your computer sending out those follow-up emails every day, all the day? Because the more people you meet, the more
It
prospects you
becomes too
have,
much
the
of a
longer it
time
gets.
suck. I can answer that question right now.
Right.
There I go
So
answering. And
automation, yes.
autom-
So the
you're a big on that because, like you said, there's so much time you can spend. I'm a big believer that in every business there are finders, minders, and grinders. And when finders are doing grinding work, like you talk about, is what It's the misuse of time is the way I would
Yes.
describe it.
Yes.
Um,
And that's the thing.
Under for sure it is big time. I mean, that's why, a lot of business owners don't get off the ground is because they spend too much time doing work that they should be delegating, like you just talked about, and this idea of systemizing a business process. So you're preaching to the choir there. I do have
Mm-hmm.
one kind of follow-up question I wanted to
Go.
pick your brain on, and that is like, trying to be ahead of the curve, right? For example, are there signals that an industry, like what are they? The signals that are an industry is like ripe for a new revenue approach. Can you kind of like see around corners for business owners and help them kind of prepare for the fact that they've got to pivot?
Well, I'll give you a great saying. So Wayne Gretzky, you know who he is.
Very
They'd
familiar.
always, yes, and you have a big hockey fan. So he would
Huge.
say, like they would ask him, how well did you how did you know where to be? And he goes, I went where I thought the puck was going,
Right.
not where it was. So that's basically what you just asked. Where's the puck going? Leveraging technology right now, AI. That is how people are able to work faster and better, but it's this unknown, right? How do you utilize it? How do you maximize it? Where's the time saving? But when it comes to your revenue streams, it's by freeing up your time. And then to answer your question a little bit more, sometimes it's about harnessing the power of your CRM. What are your clients asking of you? If you have a CRM with 1,000 clients in there, people that like you, know you, trust you, and all that, use them as a polling, send out a questionnaire. Ask them what they're looking for. They're already in your line of work. They already know you and like you. They would want to hear from you and give you feedback. So another way to realize something is ripe for a change or what else you can provide your clients and maybe do an upsell, ask them. You never know what could be, right there in your CRM, and it's not going to cost you anything because they're already your clients. So sometimes it's knowing where the puck is going, how to leverage AI, but at the same time, look back with your clients and ask them and poll them what changes are happening in their lives, what changes are happening in their industries, what do they see that they need in terms of resources for 2025. They're giving you the roadmap of ways that you can service them and provide them an upsell opportunity.
Um, to the choir again, the idea, I know we've done polls and I do a lot of one-on-one meetings, and we're always trying to get to know our clients even better. But I agree, I can't agree more. But I do want to go back to the AI topic for a second. Some people I've spoken to, they look at it almost with some foreboding.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for one, I've looked at it as a resource. I've not looked at AI as my enemy, or I should be worried about being, supplanted, right? I look at it as a tool that I can use to improve and enhance the services and the way I can be a resource to clients and my colleagues. I'm taking it just by listening to you that you're similarly of the same mindset that you're not worrying about Luminary Catalyst being replaced by AI. Would that be safe to say?
Oh,
I want to get
absolutely.
your thoughts on it
Absolutely.
anyway, regardless of what your view of AI and how it can be an asset versus a liability.
That's perfect. I think, well, first of all, it depends what you ask it. Like anything else, you know this. It's not the answer, it's what we ask with the kind of questions we ask. And if we don't know what to ask it, then it's not going to be a very good tool for us. But if we use it like a think tank, if we use it like something of a like a brainstorming session. You're able to then go back and ask it and develop further questions and use the aggregate of the data mining. You want to know about a new market. You want to know about something that's happening, for example, yourself. You want to come to Florida. What's the increase of Floridians that come in here during the snowbird season from Canada? It'll go in and scrape the internet and give you that information. Where do they like to stay? All that information is there. It can help you harness the information that before would take countless hours to research.
It
Now
sounds to
you
me
could
like
do
they
it
want to
with
say, I
another
think it's on
click.
the I-95, isn't it? Isn't that your main highway between
Sunny Isles, Hollywood, Aventura. They loved it. I can tell you, Wayne, I walk my dog every day and I just want to take you, I want to take video and send it to you of all the Canadian license tags I see down my street. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's but I can just say driving between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, it seems like half of the population of the United States can be found there, especially between the hours of say 3 p.m. and 8 p.m.
Yes, and now we have the Canadians over tier two, so they've just
Yeah.
decided to double our population. Yes, they'll be here till April.
Um, okay. So again, you're a big fan of AI. AI is not your enemy, it's your friend. That's great to hear. Um,
Well, I'm going to give you an example. I remember, so I was a math major in college, and I remember when we had the scientific calculators. And again, some professors hated them because they thought that the students would not be able to remember the formulas and how to interconnect them and all that. And some professors said, use it as a time crunch, leverage it. And I was like, why can't you do both? If you master it one way, but then the computer is not there, then you master it the other way. So the same thing is happening now with AI. The scientific calculator, for anybody that did any of the higher level maths, was a game changer and it helped us a lot. But again, did it stop us from having to figure out how to interconnect the formulas? No, you still needed to know the basics.
well, I think of it again. I don't I'm not too ashamed to say that I've been using AI as a tool for the last couple of years, and it's been my friend, definitely not my enemy. Absolutely
It's my
100%.
friend too. I agree with you.
Okay, Mary Angelica. I guess the most obvious third question will be for any entrepreneur who's talking to you is you have all these great ideas. Where do I begin?
What goals do they have? You have to start with the basics. It sounds crazy, but until there's so many things you can do. You got to first go through the entire brainstorming process of what goal do you want to accomplish, then go through the scaling down and prioritizing them, and then being realistic about it. And then, of course, mapping out the strategy behind it. Some people could be, do I develop a new product line? Well, we can start by going to your CRM, going to your current client base, polling them. What do they want? What do they need? Maybe the information is right there, right at your fingertips. Maybe it's, I want to increase my revenue. Great. What's the best way for us to do that? Develop the alliance, getting some partners, getting out there for you to network, how all the ways that you can do that. So again, it's based on goals, priorities, and time frame. The rest, you reverse engineer it.
How much? Okay, I got a couple questions. This is you're provoking me again. This always happens when we get together. Um, how much hand holding are you? How much hand holding do you do through that process? Is it basically you create the formula and they're on their own, or are you hand holding them all through this process?
I'm hand holding because a lot of the times they get stuck. A lot of the times, see, this is where my background as a financial advisor, a wealth advisor, I don't feed you goals. I explore your goals. I actually challenge you to come up with your own goals. And that's where you're able to build on that because I'm going to handhold you because there's going to be a point where I'm going to have to nudge you, not by giving you an answer, but by giving you a thought-provoking question that can unlock that for you. So in the beginning, it's absolutely a collaborative effort. And then after that, the implementation process, again, collaborative effort. But like everybody else, it's going to have to be transitioned all over to the person who's going to be administering it, the business owner or someone that they want to hire for it. So, but in the beginning, it's a lot of hand holding. It's a lot of guidance. I removed the blinders from the business owner, my prospect, my client, for them to see what potential they have in the peripherals.
Okay, so one more. Uh, I should sometimes say I should call my podcast the 33 questions podcast sometime because one
Well, it's
more
more like
question.
3A, B, C, D. It's like three questions.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So sort of the follow-up to that is, how should entrepreneurs like there's something called adaptability, right? So how do entrepreneurs adapt their partnership strategies in the face of market changes or unforeseen challenges? And again, like I asked before, is this adaptation requirement something that, again, you hand hold them through, or again, like how do you connect with your clients when it comes to realizing that they're going to have to make a diversion, left to right or however?
It's database. You have to at least execute whatever strategy you want for at least 90 days. That's the only way for you to know if it's going to be bearing fruit or dying on the vine. So without the data, we won't know what if it's being successful or failing. So whatever strategy, it has to be done for at least 1 quarter. And then you reassess it that 1 quarter. You go backwards, you take a look at it and you see, am I getting the ROI that I want? Am I getting the return on my investment, whether it's my time, whether it's revenue, whether it's contacts, whether it's opening up a new market? All of that needs to be analyzed. But without the data, you have nothing.
Okay, so before we wrap up here, I want to see. I want to crack open the Da Vinci Code here if I can, and get into the secrets of that you may have, and specifically, what are the secrets? What are the secrets to maintaining a strategic partnership over the long term, and specifically when all the goals have been met, so everything has been happened, you achieved all your goals. How do you maintain that relationship beyond that point?
Communication. That is key. You need to be strategic and effective with your communication of what the goals are, the timelines, and then get everybody else on board. A leader will always be in the trenches with their team, and a leader will always be there to listen to the feedback, and sometimes they'll catch more information that way. So again, that partnership, it needs to be authentic. It needs to be based on true concrete goals and a shared value and a shared vision. Without that, there's going to be disjointment. There's going to be a point where you start diverging. You got to know how much distance do you need before you say, wait, we're at this point having some friction. Let's come back to the original, the genesis of the idea.
Okay, we've covered a ton here today. So we got folks watching on the website. They can see all your contact information in Mariangelica, but we have folks listening on Apple, on Spotify, and other podcast formats. For those listening in, what is the best way? If you're an entrepreneur out there listening to Mariangelica, you want to contact her, what is the best way for them to reach you?
Email me. Email me or DM me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great platform. It's free. We all get to leverage everyone's contacts, everyone's information. Just DM me directly. Or go to my website, luminarycatalyst.com, and send an email through there. So info@luminarycatalyst.com, I'll get that. Or if you want to venture and spell out my first name, Mariangelica@luminarycatalyst.com.
Well, listen, Mariangelica, I cannot thank you enough for coming and joining us today. It's been a great conversation, and we have a lot on our plates together. So I look forward to our continued collaboration on many levels. So thank you very much. Great to see you today.
Thank you for having me.
So
No, the pleasure's
Mariangelica
mine.
Alvarado, Mariangelica Alvarado is the founder of Luminary Catalyst LLC, and she joined us today from beautiful Miami, Florida. Thanks again, Mariangelica.
Thank you, Wayne.
I look forward to bringing you the Three Questions podcast, and I hope you find them educational and informative. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to our YouTube and podcast channels. And to receive notification of when our latest episode has been posted, please click on the notifications bell. Last but not least, to schedule an online Zoom consultation with me to discuss your wealth management needs, please click on the link in the description box below, www.onecapital.com/meet with Wayne. Thank you, and we will see you soon.